What is going on, everyone? And in this video, I'll be giving you my UFC Vegas 52 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday. I think the debate to have, at least for a lot of these UFC Fight Night cards, is at what point is a little bit too much, right? Because you're not putting together the best card, at least on paper. It just seems like you're just pumping out fights to have fights, and then you've got a lot of people just not being able to show up to some of their fights, and then you've got like two guys that weren't even supposed to be fighting, and you got another guy coming in that just got booted from the UFC, and the main event. Yeah, it's just sometimes I wish they didn't need to do a fight night every week or anything like that, and then just go ahead and save some of the good fights, make sure that they still come out, and then they get to put on for a good fight card. And you can't really do that when you have like this fight card every week. I mean, it's cool. It's still a fight, right? It's great to see, but sometimes I question how good some of these cards are gonna be, and not all of them are good. So, but anyway, in the last card, I went 9-5. Should be 9-5 because I did pick two of the fights correct. I picked Caio Barriault and I also picked Aoriqileng to win their fights, but for whatever reason, I must have tape studied pre and did Miguel Baeza, and then took Omar Gadziev to win their fights. But then I didn't change it, so that's probably why. But in the last video, I did predict it. Vicente Luque losing against Belal Muhammad. I think Muhammad's still going to have trouble against a better grappler. I think a lot of people, it's like now we're forgetting that Leon Edwards pretty much beat his ass. Not to give any shit to Belal Muhammad. I think Belal Muhammad is still a great fighter, but I don't, I don't know how excited to get just because he's beating strikers, or he beat a guy like Vicente Luque, because you got to fight the top level competition that can defend those takedowns and then also pour it on the feet, and that'll be like the real test. So interested to see where he goes from there. But either way, going on into the next card, and like I keep suggesting, this card might not is a prime example of where I don't know if you need to have a fight card every week just to have some fights. But either way, it's gonna be some fights, so let's get into it. So in the first fight on the main card, we have Lando Groovy Vannata taking on Charles Air Jourdain, and this is gonna be probably fight of the night of the card, and I'm looking forward to it. Actually, this is actually probably the most exciting fight that I'm looking forward to on the card. Maybe it turns into one of the boringest fights ever, but I don't think so. Lando Vannata coming off a win over Mike Grunny via split decision. His good takedown defense, good speed, good kicks. He's moving down to featherweight, right? So he moved down to featherweight in his last fight. I think he looks pretty good. He's pretty ripped, I guess. I don't think he has any weight cut issues or anything. Great space control, covers distance well, a lot of kicks. He can be counting off those kicks, and we did see that against Mike Grunny. Landed some pretty big shots on him, but he also has a very solid chin. I would, though, hopefully not he decides to brawl or anything in this fight, because I think Jourdain's probably going to be the more technical striker. Vannata can be crazy though, right? He's very unorthodox. You don't know what you're going to get from him, but he can win these fights if he sticks to a pretty solid game plan, and he's able to throw these crazy things out there that his opponent's not able to see. For Jourdain, he's coming off a win over Aoriqileng via unanimous decision. He Spartan kicks him at the very end of the round or whatever. Pretty good fight for him. Definitely a good striker. Muay Thai stance, keeps his hands low. He needs to stay technical though in this fight, because if he starts getting a little bit crazy, I can see Vannata playing into that. And maybe Vannata would be the better, crazier guy if they start getting into a kind of a brawl or anything. The one thing I think that this fight might have, though, that a lot of people I don't think are looking at, is going to be Vannata getting takedowns. I do think if it gets a little bit crazy on the feet, Vannata might try to go for the grappling. He might try to clinch, get you against the fence, take you down, and see what he can do for there. I do think it's possible. I'm not saying he's going to dive in for takedowns from right off the start, but he might mix it in there, and that could be like a difference maker, especially if it's like a split decision. For Jourdain, he's got to close that space though, right? He can't be giving Vannata space to kick him. If he can close that space, still fight technical, piece him up, pick some pretty good shots. I think he can beat him up. I don't know if he finishes him. Both of these guys are pretty tough, so it's going to be hard to do that. But I do think it's going to be a pretty close bout. But the wrestling for Vannata might be a little bit different. Yeah, I think Vannata, we saw him in his last fight. He won, but he definitely landed the better strikes. But like I keep saying, he did eat some shots. So I'm gonna go Lando Vannata on this one. I think he's gonna be the better fighter. Mixing with he might not be. He might eat some shots in this one, but I still think his grappling might be the difference. And if he's able to not get countered too heavily off the leg kicks, he can chop away a lot of the lead leg of Jourdain, take away a lot of his power, and mess him up pretty good right there. So I'm going to go Lando Vannata in a very close fight, man. Very respect for both fighters. Fight of the night. I'll take Lando Vannata to defeat Charles Jourdain. I'll take him to win by decision. And so we move into the second fight on the main card, and we have Alexandr King Kong Romanov taking on Chase the Vanilla Gorilla Sherman. Now, this is a fight that was literally made in like 2 days. It wasn't supposed to be either of these fighters. I think it was supposed to be Tanner Boser versus Nascimento, I believe so. Yeah, Rodrigo Nascimento, and then that fell out, and then Nascimento withdrew. Romanov was supposed to fight. Then Boser tweeted that he can't fight, and then he was replaced by Chase Sherman, who just got cut from the UFC. So very last minute, 15-0 for Romanov, 15-9 for Chase Sherman. The biggest thing here that I see is two things. So it would be two things. So for Romanov, grappling, the moment he gets this dude down, if Sherman's a little bit gassed, and if he's not able, he's just going to get smashed out on the floor. That's pretty much it. If somehow Sherman can fight this fight technical, jab the shit out of him, make Romanov start overly swinging, not getting caught on the feet or anything, maybe he can pull off a close decision. Also, Chase Sherman is going to be fighting for his contract. If he's getting a second chance that most people don't even get, and he's getting a second chance via technicality. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get from Chase Sherman in this one. But either way, I think there was a reason why Sherman was cut from the UFC. And, obviously they're just keeping this fight together so that they can have a fight on the card. So for Alexandr Romanov, I think he takes him down. I think the moment he takes him down, maybe it doesn't happen early on. Maybe he tries to get him a little bit tired or whatever, or see what he's got, because they both were not planning to fight each other. And then so I'm going to go Alexandr Romanov. I think in the second round, maybe the first round, they feel it out a little bit. Maybe someone lands a couple of big shots here and there. But then Romanov's able to really get that takedown in the second round. Set it up pretty good. Mount him, smash him, kill him. And then we have Alexandr Romanov going 16-0 inside of the UFC. So I'm going to go Alexandr Romanov to defeat Chase Sherman. I'll take him to win by round 2 KO TKO. Move on to the third fight on the main card. We have Maycee, the future Barber, taking on Montana De La Rosa. 9-2 for Barber, 12-6-1 for De La Rosa. Not too impressed by either of these fighters. I also don't think this fight is going to necessarily be one of the good fights on the card. The thing with both these fighters is like the volume to me is just, I guess they have volume, but it doesn't really seem like it when they fight. For Maycee Barber, she won a split decision against Miranda Maverick, which I guess so, but I could have given it to Miranda Maverick. I thought she was landing the better shots on the feet. She took on Alexa Grasso, got 3 takedowns on her. Decision. Roxanne Modafferi. Oh no, she lost to Alexa Grasso, via decision, and she still got takedowns in that fight. Lost to Roxanne Modafferi. She hasn't really fought too many people, and honestly, just watching her fight against Miranda Maverick, she just didn't look good on the feet, right? And against someone like Montana De La Rosa, who's, I feel like, improving a little bit better on the feet. Not that she's anything crazy too, right? Not that she's special or anything. She took on Ariana Lipski. She got that full mount, ground and pound finish. But obviously, she's had trouble in her fights as well. It's one of those fights where I could see another split decision victory for one of these fighters, a close fight, and it won't be the best fight in the world, but it'll definitely, I think it's just going to be whoever can defend the takedowns pretty much of each other. I don't really see Barber landing. I from what I saw in Montana De La Rosa's previous fight, I thought she did pretty well. I thought she definitely did pretty well in the stand-up. It's not the best, but it's improving, and if she can improve more on that, and Barber's still not able to do too much on the feet, and then she gets taken down, and then it could cause some problems. The only thing I will say for Maycee Barber is good cardio. I guess she does have pretty good defense on the feet. I just feel like the low volume striking is just not going to be enough here. And if De La Rosa can mix in takedowns as well as show some improved striking, I think she wins this fight. I don't think either one gets finished, but yeah. And De La Rosa, when she's losing, she doesn't have too much volume on the feet too, so it's going to be a sketch fight. I'll go Montana De La Rosa to defeat Maycee Barber. I'll take her to win by a decision, probably a split decision. We move on into the co-main event of the evening, and we have Clay the Carpenter Guida taking on Claudio El Nino Puelles. This should be a pretty interesting fight. I think this is one of those fights though where more than any fight is going to be literally whoever makes the first mistake in that first round is going to get submitted. I don't really see one of these guys getting finished. Maybe a knee to the dome by Puelles on Clay Guida, or maybe Clay Guida wins late in the third round if he's fighting a very super gassed Puelles who can't do anything anymore. So I think both these fighters can definitely win this fight. Both can win it by the submission. But I do think Guida wins by submission or TKO later in the fight, whereas I think Claudio Puelles can win by KO, TKO / submission early in the fight. For Puelles, coming off of a win over Chris Grutzemacher, which, it was kind of a sketchy fight because there were some moments where he was diving in for these takedowns that looked like he was crawling and then into the takedown, so they weren't set up. And, you do that against a guy like Clay Guida. He's pulling a guillotine or something on you. He's taking your back. It's over. But then at the same time, we've seen Clay Guida before just get submitted. He likes to put himself also in some bad positions, and that's a little sketch. Coming off that win over Leonardo Santos for Clay Guida. Pretty good win. Again, he just had the grappling, and Santos was just gassed out. But Santos did have the better striking, but he just couldn't hang in there with him. Yeah, I mean, whoever makes the first mistake here, Puelles has some pretty good nasty body kicks, but I don't know if he'll go for too many of those, running the risk of getting taken down or whatever. But I'm sure he's comfortable fighting off his back with a submission or something like that. Yeah, I think if Guida wins, it's late in the third round, and I think Puelles wins, it's probably in the first or second. So sketchy fight, I think, really coin flip. Whoever makes the first mistake wins, but I'm gonna have to go Claudio Puelles. I just feel like he might just be able to rock him maybe a little bit, and then Puelles goes in for a takedown or gets some sort of submission. Maybe Guida gets a little too overconfident, gets clipped or something, and then Puelles is throwing a guillotine on his head. So I'm going to go Claudio Puelles on this one, but I can also see Clay Guida beating his ass in the third round. So I'll go Claudio Puelles to defeat Clay Guida. I'll take him to win by submission in round number 1. And move on into the main event of the evening. And you know what? Talking about this card and saying it's bad or whatever, I don't really mean that too much, right? I'm still gonna watch it. I just mean for the average people. I've seen a little bit of a talk on Twitter and stuff about, are they putting on too many fight cards, because it's just a little burnout, a little bit who's fighting at this point. I don't feel hyped to watch it, and as a diehard, obviously we always feel hyped to watch it. But either way, let's talk about the main event. I think it'll be a pretty solid main event too, right? We've definitely seen some worse main events. So Amanda Lemos, 11-1-1, taking on Jéssica Andrade Bate Astaca. 22-9 for Andrade. Andrade being the better in the UFC and having the more fights against top-level competition, I think is going to carry over into this fight. For Amanda Lemos coming into this fight off of a win over Angela Hill, who's probably the most tested fighter she's fought inside of the UFC, which she did struggle with. She won a split decision, but she did struggle with it. She dropped Angela Hill via that front kick in that first round, but then Angela Hill was starting to come back, and then you could see Lemos definitely draining, losing a lot of her energy. Nasty kicks. She definitely looks to counter a lot. Lemos looks to counter big hooks. Obviously has the front kick that she can land on anyone. But in this fight, I would look for Lemos to defend. She's going to need to defend takedowns. I think Andrade might go for some takedowns, because I think she might respect her as a better striker. Lemos is definitely a great striker, so I think Andrade might respect her a little bit and take this fight a little bit slow. I still think she's going to press forward Andrade and try to get her in her face, but I think she might respect her just a little bit more. Lemos can catch her. I'm not saying she can't catch her, right? I definitely think Lemos can catch Andrade, and she can maybe put her away, but I think Andrade is going to have to get really reckless for that to happen. And I think if Andrade is able to keep that pace in her fight, because I don't think Lemos has really fought anyone that's going to bring that aggression, right? She's not fought that top level competition where she's got somebody in her face, like super aggressive and she cutting off the octagon. Like, she just hasn't fought anyone in the UFC at that level yet. And, you know, way back in 2017, she lost against Leslie Smith, who was like a veteran at that point. So, you know, we have to see what's going to happen here, but maybe Lemos is able to. The only reason I can see this is like if Lemos is able to catch her early on, Andrade gets like a little bit too crazy, leaves her chin a little bit too high, and then Lemos catches her. But I think if Jourdain fights a little smart, right, mixes in a takedown here and there, still be aggressive, but you know, really press it on her. I think maybe in like the third round, we'll see Lemos be a little bit tired. Andrade, she's fighting smart, she's landing the better shots, and then she's able to kind of just take over. Because man, like if Lemos is tired, I can just see Andrade's like finishing her pretty much if she can turn it on. But Andrade's gonna have to pace herself. But I think she has just the more avenues to win. And you know, as long as she's careful, she's got to be a little careful. She can't be rushing in there crazy. But I think she's gonna know that, right? Because she knows like I'm fighting someone that's gonna be significantly better striker than, like, you know, I can't underestimate her, right? I think that, not that Andrade and underestimates anyone, but she's just got to know that like she can't get too reckless in this one. But I do think the aggression thing, staying in her face, gassing, tiring out through that is going to be the way to go. So I might, you know, Lemos, I can see her winning off of a counter if she can counter off some of the aggression. But overall, I just don't see Lemos in the second and third round being able to do too much because she's going to be getting pressed back against the fence, and that's just going to naturally have a little bit of a more energy drain than anyone she's fought, right? So I'm going to go Jéssica Andrade on this one. She could get clipped, but I'm pretty confident that she takes this one a little bit slow, stays aggressive, fights smart, pretty much fighting smart, pick a little bit better of shot selection against a better striker, but then eventually take over and put her away. So I'll go Jéssica Andrade to defeat Amanda Lemos. I'll take her to win by KO in round number 3. So that'll do, guys, for my UFC Vegas 52 predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, April 23rd in UFC, the Apex. And so, you know, we'll have to see how good of a card it is. Maybe it's one of the best cards we've ever seen in our lives, right? I guess that could be the case, but maybe not. But either way, what do we got going on following? So then the next one after this is going to be Font versus Vera. So that's going to be, I think that's going to be pretty solid. You know, Darren Elkins going to be on that card. But they don't have too many fights on that card yet. So yeah, Font versus Vera. We'll have to see how that one plays out. That's going to be a great fight, but we'll have to watch. We'll have to watch. And then we've got Oliveira taking on Justin Gaethje at UFC 274. That's going to be insane, man. That's going to be an insane card. Can't wait for that one. Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chandler. Oh, man, it's going to be... that's going to be the card to watch for. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Leave your comments down below. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. And I'll see you guys in the next video.